Three little birds sat on the window, and they told me I don't need to worry. Summer came like cinnamon, so sweet. Little birds don't touch the concrete. Baby, sometimes we feel afraid, but it's alright. The more things seem to change, the more they stay the same. Don't you think it's strange? Girls, put your records on. Tell me your favorite song. You go ahead, let your hair down. Sci-fi faded jeans, I can get your dream. You go ahead, let your hair down. You're gonna find yourself somewhere, somehow. Blue as the sky, sunburned lonely, sipping tea in a bar by the roadside. Just relax, just relax.
Good morning. We wish you were all here with us.
Yes, where are you? You're
Yes,
right.
especially next week because I'm playing bowls.
that's
so
right.
come on down
Yes.
at 9:15. Come on into the special room over here, and we're going to play bowls, and you'll have a little meditation to prepare you for the morning.
Perfect.
Tell me more about the bowls. How often do you do this? When is this?
I do once a month, the fourth Wednesday. Sorry, the fourth Sunday of every month. So come at 9:15. We do a half an hour, just a little chitty chat, and then you get to meditate for about 15 minutes, and then you're off and ready for the day.
And it's wonderful. I've been there many times and I love it. I love you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Planning on going back.
I don't want Cheryl to see that.
Good morning. We all take our deep collective breath in. And just relax where you're at. And if it's comfortable for you, you close your eyes and just know that we are in the presence, invisible presence, recognizing that one power, one life, one mind. That essence that in me, as me, and through me. Guided, supported, and protected with this word. The I am. I am a child of God. I am knowing. I am seeing. I am feeling this essence that is in me, flowing through my being. I am the center of divine energy that's flowing through every cell, in every organ, in every function, in every circulation of my being. And with this feeling, with these emotions, I am knowing. I'm expressing my source, the God that is in me, through me, and as me. In passing, I am embracing. Knowing with ease and grace. That I am one with the divine. this conscious awareness. That is what is before me, is within me. So with ease and grace, invite everyone to come back to the room. And slowly, open your eyes. And know that we are going to have a great celebration today. So yes.
Thank you, Elva. Sounds like I'm in a dream. Song by Daniel Maynard. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. When I pray,
go within. I affirm, I know, I recognize that there is one God. God is divine, unconditional love. God is the source of love, for God is love. God is the creator of all things. Everything in the unseen. God is that principle, the harmony, the unity. God is the universal mind from which all things are created. I'm knowing that God is intelligent. And again, I know that God is love. And I unify myself with God, for I know that God creates all things. I am one with all things. I am one with God. I know this to be the truth for all individuals, for all things, for everything that exists. And by allowing myself to recognize my oneness with life, with love, with intelligence, it's so easy to understand my oneness with all people, with all things. For it is in my heart. The love of God is expressing through. And I am one with this center, this beautiful center that creates this world that works for everyone. And so the word that I speak is the word of God, for I am the vehicle for which God speaks, acts, gives, receives. And I know this to be the truth for the center as well. The center is the center of love. The center is the vehicle from which God works. God works through the center to bring understanding, peace, harmony, and so much more. I declare right here that this service opens my mind, opens my heart to more good. I know that the Revs give of themselves to this service. They prepare themselves, they speak with confidence and love and understanding that it is God working through them. And for this I am so very grateful to be one with the center, to be one with all people sitting here today. I am grateful that my word is spoken with confidence, with love, with understanding. For I know what the law does. And I release the word into the law, knowing it is done. And together all as one is said. And so it is.
How beautiful. This is the center of love. No truer words have been said today. You guys ready to sing with me again? All right. Yes. There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all by myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the This is what you have to say. I'll release and I'll let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. Yes, with my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I release, yeah, and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No, no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. Come on. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Come on. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. Real big. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Real big. I release, yeah, I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. Here we go. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Last one. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God and Reverend
Good morning. And welcome to the Las Vegas Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Dan Jerome, one of the co-senior ministers here with Reverend Stacy Hilton and Reverend Cheryl Bell, and we welcome you, we welcome you, we welcome you. And we have such an amazing service for you today. It includes a little bit of a power talk, a little bit of a talk, and a very anticipated and very exciting ceremony that you'll get to participate in. So let us get started because we got a lot to cover here today. So let's start with my most favoriteest thing, which is to bless this amazing country that we live in. So if it's comfortable for you to do so, put your hand over your heart and say with me, God bless America and the rest of the world. And so reach out to the world next to you and say good morning. Going to get started here, and so we have Mary Carmen, who's going to come up and do a power talk for us on Mexican Independence Day. So, Mary Carmen.
Thank you, Reverend Dan. Okay, well, most of you, you might not know that September 15th is also the independence of 5 countries in Central America. So on September 15th, we celebrate the independence of 5 countries in Central America, which are Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. On this day, in 1821, Central American leaders accepted a plan drafted by the Mexican leader, Agustín de Iturbide, declaring the 5 nations free from Spain. All of these countries were under Spanish rule, Mexico included. And then on September 16, 1810, it's not Cinco de Mayo, it's not the Independence Day of Mexico. It's actually the 16th of September. So the leader of the revolt against Spain was Father Miguel Hidalgo. He rallied his parishioners on September 15th to fight against the Spanish government with a cry of independence, which is known as El Grito. Okay, that's what it's known in Spanish. He encouraged them with Viva Mexico and Viva la Independencia. Okay, do I have to translate that? Okay, and although these rebel groups were not successful in obtaining freedom for Mexico, this was the beginning of Mexico's fight for independence. And in 1823 was the first president of the Free Republic, which was Guadalupe Victoria. Okay. And then as a little side note, the Spanish conquest, which was very, very huge, resulted in the death of 70% of the indigenous peoples in Central America and 90% in South America and almost 100% in the Caribbean. Where I'm from, I was born in Cuba, and there is no indigenous population. There's none, absolutely none. So they were wiped out. And between 1492 and 1609, which was when the Jamestown, the first colony of Jamestown was established, more than 50% of all indigenous people were already wiped out in what would later be known as the United States. So just a little bit of history. I know most of you know that it's Independence Day for Mexico, and maybe you didn't know that it was also for the 5 countries of Central America. Most people don't know that. So thank you for listening, and also just a little reminder that I start Zumba on Saturday. Okay, so I hope everybody comes. Thank you. And one more little thing. Thank you to all of you that went to our fiesta yesterday. It was our first fiesta here at our center, and everybody was so happy and so, giving and so excited, and we were too. And this is a great center. We have great people and great things are happening here, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. I'm very happy. Thank you.
It was a great time yesterday. If you were not here, you missed it.
It was awesome. I'll have you know. We've had maybe too much to eat, but it was good. Whatever, it's great. I just want to let you know, I want to let you know that Daniel Namod will be here next month. So please mark your calendars. It is October 28th. He's going to be up here singing and playing, and then he's going to do a concert later that day. So make sure you get your tickets. It's going to be sold out, I know that. And they're ready in the bookstore, so they have them in the bookstore.
But this one right now is free. Not by Daniel.
Think I'd be beside me you tight to me. When you're on the outside, baby, and you can't get in, I will show you you're so much better than you know. When you're lost, you're alone, can't get back again, I will find you, darling, and I will bring you home. And if you want to cry, I'm here to dry your eyes. In no time, you'll be fine. Thank God for your side, baby. You know me better than that. Think I lay down when you're down on your knees. No, I wouldn't do that. Well, I'll tell you you're right when you want. And if only you could see into me. Oh, when you're cold, I'll be there. Hold you tight to me, when you're low, I'll be there by your side, baby. When you're cold, I'll be there. Hold you tight to me. When you're low, I'll be there by your side, baby. I'll be by your side.
Thank you, Pat. I love Aldo. Thank you for the beautiful centering, and Carmen, always a beautiful prayer.
My joke.
Nope, your joke was, yeah. We're trying to forget that part of it. You know I love you, Reverend Dan, so it doesn't matter if I don't so much admire your jokes. But I love you. It's all that matters. And Mari, Carmen, thank you. Talking to us about Independence Day and stuff that we don't know. I love that. I so appreciate that. And I love this center for all the inclusivity that we always provide. I love that. Yeah. So, good morning. Good morning. I am Stacy Hilton, and one of the co-senior ministers here. And Reverend Cheryl and I are going to be doing the talk. And we gave Reverend Dan something to do as well, because we have important business here today. Just when you thought it couldn't get better, after Charday, I don't know that it could get better. But, you know, we're going to do our best. Well, actually, we know it's going to get better, because we have something really special that's at the end of the talk. This month, we have been talking about spiritual mind treatment, which is also known as affirmative prayer. Affirmative prayer. Last week, we talked about the form of it. This month, we're talking about the feeling of it. The feeling. You know, when you plant your seeds in your garden, you just plant them and you know that they're going to, well, I don't know, if you're like me, you may doubt. Because I don't have necessarily the green thumb. But so let me use another example. When I pour the ice in the ice cube tray and I stick it in the freezer, I just know, without a shadow of a doubt, that I will come back to the freezer, and I will have ice cubes. Yes? Anybody doubt that? I know it with conviction, with full faith, with full gratitude, I'm in appreciation of that ice. There is no doubt in my mind that when I get back to that freezer and I open up that freezer door, that there will be ice. Yes? Yes. Yeah. So that means my prayer is complete, right? When I see the demonstration of those ice cubes going into that glass over my sangria, with my sangria poured over it, that the prayer is complete. I have demonstrated that which I wanted to create. The seeds, not so much. I'm still working that out with the seeds. But we do use that reference a lot. We use the seed soil plant. And we hear it all the time. And we always tell you, if you plant apple seeds, and you're expecting a watermelon, that you may be a little bit disappointed. You might be, right? Unless you really like watermelon, you'd be all right with it. But it's so important about what you're planting, and not only what you're planting, but the feeling of when you're planting that you have a full faith and full knowingness and conviction that what you've done is what you've created and put out there, it will manifest and it will demonstrate, and the end result is that what you want. Dr. Ernest Holmes, our founder and the author of the Science of Mind textbook, told a story, and I'm going to set the story up and then I'm going to finish it up by reading it in Essential Ernest Holmes. But he speaks of a man, he was born in Maine, but he moved to Southern California. And he speaks of going to San Francisco with his best friend, Reginald Armour, and they go to do something in San Francisco. And they're traveling and enjoying the city, and he gets a phone call. And the phone call is from someone that knows of him and knows of his work. And he's in the hotel, and he says to Dr. Holmes, he says, I need your help. I have a serious problem. I am often going on these drinking binges, and I am paraphrasing the story in the book. I go on these drinking binges. And so right now I'm calling you, I've had a bottle of whiskey, and I'm not able to get up. So I'm really in need of help because I don't want to do this any longer. I have a beautiful wife, I have 2 children, and this is not working for me. But what I have been doing is I've been calling my wife after about a week or 2, and then I will ask her to come get me, and then I'll be okay for another couple weeks or a month, and then I'll do the same thing. Bit of a problem, right? Can be. He seemed to think that it was a problem, which is really the big part of the story, right? Because I can pray for you with my own judgment, thinking that you need something, and if you aren't open to that, then guess what? You're not going to get it. I'm not going to get what I want. But Dr. Holmes went and saw this man. He was in the bed. He could not get up, as he said. And he says it was the oddest thing because he was completely mentally clear. Most times when you drink, you're not mentally clear. Or when I drink, I'm not mentally clear. I don't know about you all. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. We're drinking the wrong thing. And most times when you drink, most people drink to escape. So he's not having any fun, I'm thinking, right? And then you can't walk, you can't, that's kind of not good. So he asks Dr. Holmes for help. Dr. Holmes goes down and sees him, and he says, are you sure that you want to correct this issue? He says yes. They keep talking for another few minutes. Dr. Holmes asks him again, are you sure that this is what you want? You want to stop drinking. Am I getting that clearly? He said, I absolutely would like to stop drinking. And so Dr. Holmes goes down to his room. He said, okay, because he needed to stop seeing him in that state. Very important. If you walk into a hospital room and you see a sick person, and that person wants to get well, you need to leave the room if you're seeing a sick person. If you can't see the spiritual wholeness of who they are, then you need to leave the room. If Dr. Holmes had stayed there and had bought into the fact that this is a drunk and he's just hopeless, his prayer would not have worked. But he went down to his room and he did something kind of out of the ordinary. Well, the man thought. And he said, you rest, I'll talk to you tomorrow. He called the bar downstairs and he ordered a bottle of whiskey and a glass. and he sent it to the man's room. And so the man apparently got the bottle and Dr. Holmes called him and said, I sent this for you. And he's like, hey, dude, is this what you really, I mean, are you going to help me or not? He said, trust me. Just trust me. So he gets his friend Reginald Armour, his best friend, Dr. Holmes, and Dr. Holmes says, okay, Reginald, we have some work to do. We've got some work to do. And he explains the story and the circumstance of this young man. And this is the rest of the story. So perhaps you will be interested to know how we went about our work. We made ourselves comfortable, relaxed. First one, and then the other took up this thought for him. This man is conscious that he is pure spirit, no pun intended. He is poised and at peace within himself. There is nothing in him that craves alcohol. He is not seeking to escape from anything. He meets every issue of life without fear. There is nothing to run away from, nothing to avoid. At all times, he has a sense of well-being, of happiness, of security, and of self-expression. There is no memory of ever having received any pleasure or benefit from alcohol. There is no anticipation that he can ever receive pleasure or benefit from it. The spirit, again, within him is satisfied. It is radiant. It never seeks to escape from itself. It exists in its own sense of self-adequacy. It exists in joy, in freedom, and in peace. We did our work orally, he says. First, Mr. Armour would work for 10 or 15 minutes, then I would take up the thought and continue, each speaking aloud. We worked for several hours, until somehow, in a way which no one completely understands, hence no one can perfectly explain, we both seemed to have a sense of release for our friend. We seemed to feel that what we had said about him was true. There really was no intoxicated man. There was only a glorious sense of divine sonship, free from fear, perfectly contented, happy and radiant, self-assured, united with the infinite, and one with complete satisfaction. Early the next morning, the phone rang, and his steady, cheerful voice said, "Can you come over to my room for a moment?" I was there almost immediately. He was relaxed, calm, and as sober as he had ever been in his life. His first remark was, "You will find the rest of the stuff in the closet." There it was, all but about 2 drinks that he had taken. He had never taken another drink. He never had the desire. You see, we were using the law of life for a definite purpose. There is no mystery about this. Anyone using the same method would have the same result.
Great story. Y'all know who I am. Reverend Cheryl Beth. Oh, you listening to me? Okay. Our talk title is to make each treatment complete. Now, as Reverend Stacy said, we consider treatment prayer, affirmative prayer. And so we've been following the themes of, with all of the, well, not all of them, but a lot of the CSLs, how many, 150, almost 200 of us, I think, are following the theme. And this, and we're doing it out of the Living the Science of Mind. And actually, make each treatment complete is a title. So it says, always feel that the first treatment you give will meet the case, while at the same time never taking no for an answer, even in a series of treatments. Each time a treatment is given, the practitioner should feel that it is complete and perfect, that it is finished and done. His treatment is, or her, treatment is not complete until his or her own consciousness accepts the verdict and as final and perfect. In actual experience, the practitioner may have to do this day after day over a period of time, but he or she must be careful to avoid the feeling that the performance must go on forever. He or she must be equally careful that they know that right thought continually poured into consciousness will heal. So what he does or she does in practice is to make each treatment complete, to draw a final conclusion in each treatment, and then be willing to keep on until the case is met. All right. Now the theme for this month, for the last 2 months, is treatment. Last month, as Reverend Stacy said, it was treatment with form. This month, treatment with feeling, which I have co-named, There Is No Healing Without Healing. Oh gosh, I love that. Now, I of course have a story and an example, not as, Reginald Armour and Dr. Ernest Holmes are not praying for us, unfortunately, but we are praying with each other and together. Gosh, I want to say it was 6 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. Stacy and I, we were in ministerial school, and we would go away to California once or twice a month and for the weekend, because we were studying with Dr. Maura Fox at Redondo Beach Center for Spiritual Living. And so we come home one of those Sundays or Monday and see a notice on the door. So apparently the homeowner was not paying her mortgage, though we were paying our rent. Now she lived in the Midwest, so it wasn't like she was there, but we would go deposit it in her account and everything. And so we knew, being in real estate, that we had some time, but not a lot, 3 to 4 weeks maybe, and to find a place. Well, how hard could that be? Stacy is property manager. She works for a property manager. Pick up the phone. We actually put in an application right away. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, we're praying every morning together about, this perfect place that's, this or something better. We had an application on a nice house. It was, if you have to move in 3 weeks, you're kind of, even though we are picky, we probably were not as picky as we might have been otherwise. And so, well, there were a couple applications in, and the homeowner actually went with who was not local, homeowner went with a different family, which we found out 1 week before we actually had to move. Meanwhile, we're doing, I'm purging, selling stuff, and packing, kind of. We had the mover schedule, we had it, we were moving. And so it was 1 week. I remember the look on my mother's face when I said, okay, we have a week. And knowing we don't have a place. And the look on her face was like, she went back to bed, I think. And so I'm like, well, okay, Stacy and I are still praying. And so one day, Stacy decided to, it was like nothing was coming up. We have access to MLS, being realtors, and our parameters, just nothing was coming up because we were picky about where we wanted to live. And so Stacy, for some reason, decided to look on Craigslist. But I didn't know that at the time, because when she told me the address, I was able to find it on MLS, but she found it on Craigslist. And we went and we met the property manager, because the owner lives in Canada or something. And and of course she fell in love with us, and so we moved in there. But this was the day, I didn't actually see it first, Stacy saw it first. And when I went to it, it was to sign. And of course I did like the place. We lived there 3 years actually. But we moved the next day. Because that's the day, that was the last day. Any realtors know there's cash for keys. They have a specific day. If you're out by this time, we'll pay you not to destroy our house. Not that we would, but they don't know that. They don't know it. So we signed and moved the very next day. Yeah. if you could just picture my mother's face. I didn't have the heart to even ask her to do anything. I didn't ask her to do anything because she clearly did not believe this was going to happen in a week. So, the thing about that is, in Science of Mind textbook, let me find that page, sorry. Dr. Holmes talks about this, and I think we actually, when I was reading this, I'm like, okay, we did that, that's what we did. That's exactly what we did. Let me find the page. It's in our Science of Mind textbook, page 207. God, I can't wait for you guys to get your Science of Mind textbook because classes are going to be starting soon. All right. It is sometimes thought that in giving or receiving a treatment, prayer, one must experience some physical sensation. No, not a physical sensation, but just a faith and a knowing, right? A patient sometimes says, after receiving a treatment, I felt nothing unusual during that treatment. You're not going to. We're not doing anything to you. It is not necessary that you should feel anything. There is no peculiar sensation which accompanies a treatment. Neither is it necessary that the practitioner should feel anything other than the truth of the words that they speak. When you plant a seed in the ground, we do not have a great sensation. And it is not probable that the soil has any either. But the seed planted in that creative soil nevertheless produces a plant, right? So we did, there was another quote too, hold on. Don't go anywhere. I don't know if I wrote it down. There it is, 224.5. This is not my book, I would have had it marked up. Not really. Who said that? Someone who knows me knows that I do not write in my books. Yes. Anyway. You're not supposed to know me that well. Anyway. Always come to a complete conclusion when giving a treatment. We always came to a complete conclusion. Like I said, we prayed every morning for those 3 weeks, for 4 weeks, I think. We knew that we were going to find the perfect place, even though that one fell through 1 week before we actually had to move. We had scheduled the mover, everything. Always feel that it is done, complete and perfect, and give thanks for the answer, and as if it were already objectified, which we did. Do not carry the thought around you that it is not done. To do so is to doubt, and we know what happens when we doubt, correct? So the treatment should be repeated daily until a healing takes place. If it takes 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, or 5 years, the treatment must be kept up until healing is accomplished. This is the only method we know. It is not enough to say that everything is all right. Remember that spiritual bypass, everything's all right. If you're not praying. This is true in principle, but in fact and in human experience, it is only as true as we make it. Treat until you get results. A healing takes place when the patient is no longer sick, and until such time, mental work should be done. Right, practitioners? So we did this every morning until it happened, and we built a relationship with this person. We lived there for 3 years, but then the owner wanted to sell. But we have this relationship with the property manager now. Where we live now was also, they owned also. So it was very, it was a good pick. Thank you, Reverend Stacy. All right. You're up. You can turn this one off.
So Reverend Cheryl found a beautiful video to talk about exactly that which we're talking about today. We also have another pretty good demonstration too. We'll share that with you in a minute. But Russell, would you show that video?
Yeah, she did it. Did you see her? Do it again.
It was always like, we have to wait and see.
Yeah, it was never, she wouldn't, it's just, they couldn't tell us when, or if she would. It started off just a normal pregnancy. We had the anatomy scan at 20 weeks. It was terrifying to find out something was wrong with your baby and that, you know, it's not going to be what you thought of a typical pregnancy. They confirmed that she did have spinal defect. We had 2 days to make a decision if we were going to do fetal surgery to correct her spine while in my womb. Those 2 days was probably the hardest. We went ahead with fetal surgery, which was at 25 weeks gestational. We didn't know if the surgery was going to improve or if it was going to hinder. It was really a gamble of what we were doing with her life as well as mine. She was small, but she was mighty. Watching other kids, you know, babies take their first steps, and you know that your child has to work so hard to get to those first steps. So just taking her to PT every week, I can't let her see me down, because if she sees that I'm stressed or I'm down, then that's how she's gonna feel about herself. So it was definitely a challenge for me to deal with, you know, everything that came about. I'm trying not to cry. But it wasn't easy at all. It's been days where, you know, I just like, why her? She's the same just like everyone else, but she works a little bit harder. Just the same results.
Yeah. You know how to do it. Come on, Kai.
She just started walking. I started crying, which meant she started crying because she was confused on why I was crying. So I'm like, this is happy tears, like you're walking. I'm really proud of herself. She knows that she's not able to walk like other kids and, you know, move around like the rest of us. So her taking her step, like the first few steps, she knew it was a big deal.
I knew she was going to do it once I saw her determination and saw her get moving. Did it on her own. It really was decided.
So, our Dr. Holmes also says in the textbook, he says if you have high blood pressure, you don't stop treating or don't stop praying until you see the result is where it should be. You don't just stop randomly. Okay, well, I think I'm good now. Right? You keep praying until you see that result. We have somebody here that for a year, she has been praying and cheating and doing her work. And it's just been amazing to watch the attitude and the just the openness and the grace from which Mary Jo Clark became a practitioner. Last year, you know, she did not pass. It wasn't a it was a not now. And so we gave her some time and some space. She took a little vacation. I said, is this something that you want to do? And she said, yes, absolutely. And a year later, she's a practitioner as of July 26th. She didn't give up until she saw the final result. And so now we'd like to, with the help of you all, like to install her as a practitioner today. Before we do that, can I ask Tina Grossman to come up? Speaking of practitioners, Tina Grossman has been is a practitioner for 5 years, and so she has the pen. You know, practitioners do so much for our center, and they keep treating until we get it right. And we're on the right track, but don't stop. You still need yourself.
So we'll begin our ceremony now by lighting the candle.
Keep treating, I ask practitioners, keep treating. Prayer works. This microphone, however, doesn't.
So again, the title of the talk today was Make Each Treatment Complete. And this is the perfect talk title for our community to officially welcome and install our newest practitioner to our Ministry of Prayer team. It is a joyful and powerful moment for a spiritual community to birth practitioners. It takes a great commitment and dedication to become a licensed religious science practitioner. Our beloved Mary Jo has spent the better part of the past 4 years, in this case more than that, in classes, studying the science of mind philosophy, and learning how to put it into practice in her life. The first 2 years were the basic coursework, which laid the foundation of her understanding. Then she entered into the 2-year professional practitioner classes. This is where she learned how to put these teachings into practice in their life and how to support others to do the same. Once completed, she took a written exam and an oral panel exam. And then, of course, normally, that's where one becomes officially licensed. Becoming a licensed practitioner is not about having all of your issues handled. I'd like to add to that, thank God that that's not a requirement for becoming a minister either. Because I would be 90 when... It means, though, having the consciousness of oneness and a depth of spiritual intelligence and wisdom to know how to use spiritual tools with a degree of mastery. This beloved has a relationship with Spirit that nurtures and sustains her. Mary Jo knows the truth about herself and knows the truth about all of us, and I'm going to add, and the truth about all of the other beings that we share this planet with, those that are covered with fur and feathers and scales. To a spiritual community, the blessings of licensed practitioner means that there is a cultivated body of conscious spiritual support, which is adept at prayer. There has been a yes to spirit within the heart of this practitioner to be of service and to be a revealer of truth.
Becoming a licensed practitioner is a commitment in consciousness and in action to the philosophy and the faith that we call science of mind. The Las Vegas Center for Spiritual Living and its ministers, to the members and the friends of this center, and to the further unfoldment of her own nature. A licensed practitioner is one who is dedicated to knowing the spiritual truth that infinite intelligence dwells within us, as us, and is for us. A licensed practitioner is committed to the idea that the truth known inwardly must be revealed outwardly. Practitioners know the love, the law that we work with is Spirit's healing power. They feel the presence of Spirit in joy and love, and they know spiritual truth for others because they know it for themselves first. I would like to ask Mary Jo to please come to the stage. Mary Jo stands here before us, all duly qualified for such responsibility by having completed the required certificated instructions and having passed her final exam and successfully sitting before a panel of ministers and practitioners. She has demonstrated the power of affirmative prayer treatment works through several testimonials, thereby having proven her understanding of the healing principle of the universal spirit, and having demonstrated her ability to use those principles in the service of others. And you know what, I wanted to say another thing is, I remember Wednesday night when we had a guest speaker. She was from Kitty's friend from another, Julie Nourish, and you asked her a question about healing. And she said, what you already do. And I'm like, tell her about herself. Yes. Oh, okay. Can I ask everyone to please stand? Thank you. Thank you. Stacy will give you your pledge as Minister of Practitioners.
As I ask you to pledge, please respond, I do. So do you pledge your commitment to maintain the consciousness of unity with Spirit's power and love through the daily practice of affirmative prayer treatment for yourself, your clients, your church, your ministers, and all of New Thought? Do you promise to do your part in carrying out the vision and mission of the center, which is to see the divine presence in all, and to inspire spiritual living through cultivating a personal relationship with divine love? Congregation, do you promise to support Mary Jo through your own prayers?
I do.
Do you promise to allow Mary Jo to support you in times of your own need?
I do.
You may be seated. And so, in religious science, which is now known as science of mind, it has become a practice to present our licensed practitioners with a stole. It symbolizes the sacredness of the office of licensed practitioners and the depth of their commitment to divine intelligence. The teaching symbol for science of mind is embroidered on each side as a reminder of the allness of spirit. God is love, law, and form. Altogether, it represents the creative process that we participate in with every breath, consciously or unconsciously. Practitioners truly do know that our thoughts create our experience. When the stole is worn, you can be assured that their practitioner is in sacred service. This is the dedication to our shared values, guiding principle, and professional consciousness. As a practitioner of Centers for Spiritual Living, do you dedicate yourself to the principles of religious science and summarize by what we believe? Do you promise to maintain your consciousness and integrity by meditating and treating daily and expanding your consciousness so that you're prepared mentally and spiritually to meet any condition, being mindful that appearances and conditions are effects to be changed in spiritual truth? Do you dedicate yourself to knowing the presence of spirit in all things and the oneness of life? Do you commit to being free from fear and superstition and dedicate yourself to knowing that as a spiritual being you have the right and power to choose your experience of life? Do you commit to being generous, loving, compassionate, understanding, nurturing, intuitive, patient, and non-resistant to life? Now, how can you help that? Do you commit to releasing all judgment of others, yourself, and conditions of life? Do you promise to respect all paths to the one? And now, by the power invested in us as ministers, as one of the spiritual leaders of Las Vegas Center for Spiritual Leading, I hereby acknowledge you as a licensed practitioner for Centers for Spiritual Living and the Las Vegas Center for Spiritual Living.
Thank you for everything. Thank you for being here and witnessing this for me. I want to give great thanks to these fabulous ministers for being so supportive and helping direct my year of prayer classes with Reverend Stacy and Daisy. Thank you so much for all that extra help. And all these beautiful practitioners who have supported me. I just love you so much. Thank you very much. And don't forget, with God, all things are possible.
Congratulations, Virgin. Can I just tell you how grateful I am to be here today and to sing for you. I know I say that. I hope I say that all the time. I really, really feel that way. I hope you know that. I just love singing for you.
Three little birds sat on the window, and they told me I don't need to worry. Summer came like cinnamon, so sweet. Little birds don't touch the concrete. Baby, sometimes feel afraid, but it's alright. The more things seem to change, the more they stay the same. Don't you think it's strange? Girls, put your records on. Tell me your favorite song. You go ahead, let your hair down. Sapphire faded jeans, I can get your dream. You go ahead, let your hair down. You're gonna find yourself somewhere, somehow. Blue as the sky, sunburned lonely, sipping tea in a bar by the roadside. Just relax, don't let those name of love, in the name of love, in the name of love, yes, in the name of love.
Did you guys have something to tell us?
Today we did some prayers and meditations, and we learned about what a prayer is. Good morning. Good morning. Don't mind me, I just had a muffin. So today we learned about how to pray, and we read a story about a girl who wanted a puppy. And she was talking to her friend about how to pray to get a puppy. And we learned not to beg and how to meditate, and we did a 10-minute meditation. And it was really fun. And then somehow, I don't remember how we brought it up, but we brought up the Pixar theory, because I have my own Pixar theory. Basically, the Pixar theory is I took tons of Pixar movies, and then they're all connected in a certain way, and then I connected them even more. If you want more information, just come to me. It's a whole entire list. It's a really big theory.
All right, well, we know who to go to, right? Woo, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Wow, can I ask our ministers to please come forward? Any visiting ministers or visiting practitioners to come forward? I would like to ask all of our minister prayer team to come forward. Woohoo!
So if I could ask everyone to stand and connect. And for those of you that were praying for me not to sweat in this blouse, it's not working, so keep praying. I got Mary Jo on the job now. Praying until it's complete. So if you would just close your eyes with me. Oh, and I'm just so grateful for all that takes place in this wonderful space. Grateful for this thing called the Las Vegas Center for Spiritual Living that does great and good things. Does small things in a great way. Grateful for this ability to celebrate our wonderful newest practitioner. Grateful to know that if I just keep my mind on that which is that one power, that one presence, that one essence, and know the truth, that it will always come to me as I state it. And so with that, I'm just grateful that we each go out into that wonderful world and give more love and more joy and more of who we are. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is.
And so it is.
Now let's sing.
All right. Yes, there is peace on earth, and now it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as our power, loved ones all are we. Now we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and now it
So repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
I know this in my mind.
I know this in my mind.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
And so it is.
And so it